Alright, muri Zimbabwe, zviri zvaizvezvi mutambo watsvukeropa, game repolitics riri kupisa pakati paNelson Chamisa nemukomana Hope Chin'ono. So Hope Chin'ono vari kuenda mberi vachibudisa information dzavari kubudisa, but at this stage Chamisa is no longer okay. Une narratives wao achiramba achipushwa. He thinks zvakumukanganisira stuff. So let's get into the real details. So, there is a post yakandwa na Nelson Chamisa. It's 1 hour ago now. Hands dear, this one here. Hands dear Daddy Hope, which is Hope Chin'ono. Name here, Panupa X. A proper and balanced journalist is a truth teller who reports facts, not fiction. Be a journalist, not a propagandist who peddles lies and misinformation to save the interests of the oppressors. I have tolerated your tomfoolery for far too long. Enough is enough. Oh, so we have also to get ku zvacho zvanga zvitagwa na Hope Chin'ono zvazokonzera kuti Chamisa ataure so. But let's just get a glimpse into what Zimbabweans think, about this whole thing. So topinda mu comment section toverenga 2-3 tonzwa kuti maZimbabweans ari kufunga chii tisati tapinda ku attack yakandwa na Hope Chin'ono. As a matter of fact, Chin'ono urimo muno anditi hanzi na Chin'ono vari kutopindura hanzi, dear Nelson Chamisa, thank you very much for your note. Please identify the specific lies and misinformation you claim I have peddled. Point to the precise statement, explain what is false about it, and provide the correct facts. Simply accusing me of spreading lies without identifying a single lie is meaningless. You are a political actor and Zimbabwe's leading opposition politician. You say that you are fighting for democracy, yet an essential part of democracy is the right of journalists to scrutinize, question, and criticize political leaders, including opposition leaders. Criticism does not become propaganda merely because it makes you or your supporters uncomfortable. You say that you have tolerated me for too long. A politician does not tolerate a journalist. Journalists do not require permission from politicians to do their work. The language of tolerance suggests that you believe journalists should operate with your approval and that criticism is acceptable only for as long as you permit it. That is not democracy. That is dictatorship. Okay. So, Hope Chin'ono panapa ari accuse Nelson Chamisa of having the same mentality na Emerson Mnangagwa. Kuti uri kutotitaridza kuti uri chidictator within usatotombopinda mupower. Get pese reply ya Chin'ono hanzi, I am aware that you have a powerful chaotic following whose members may accept every word you say without demanding evidence, but as a journalist I will not be intimidated or cowed by that following. I would rather stand alone telling an uncomfortable truth than join a crowd united by comforting untruths. If any statement I have made is factually wrong, identify it and I will respond with the evidence supporting what I said. If you demonstrate that I made a genuine factual error, I will correct it because that is what responsible journalists do. But if you cannot identify a single lie, then you should withdraw this blanket accusation and respond to the substance of my criticism. Journalism is not praise singing and scrutiny is not hostility. Democracy requires leaders who can answer difficult questions without labeling every critic a propagandist. I await your specific examples and will respond to each one with evidence. So, and will respond to any evidence. So the guy to feel Zimbabweans, how do they feel about this? Hanzi na Sandra Mangwana. Right now, Hope Chin'ono is demonstrating what responsible journalism should look like, asking difficult questions, pursuing facts and holding power to account. A genuine truth teller in action. Oh! Hanzi, thank you, President. Hope Chin'ono is so toxic. He has to know it all attitude and a main actor syndrome. He has a know-it-all attitude and a main actor syndrome. He lost his credibility a long time ago and needs to be called out. Comrade Treasure Basopo, Hanzi Hopo is a naysayer, an envious and toxic doomsayer vari kuraima baba pakaipa. So hanzi naPeter Mpondi, journalism must never be too personal, but it must be balanced. It mustn't be based opinions, but on real, it mustn't be based on opinions, but on real encounters where you request an interview one-on-one, then we make our own conclusion. Okay, so maZimbabweans autaura zvakawanda. Vamwe vari in support of Chamisa, vamwe vari kuti hopo tagara tokuzoona ngochingotinyangadza, vamwe vachitaura chi. So let's get to the message yatanga musindo wese. Zvii zvataubva na hopo Chin'ono zvatanga musindo wese uyu wekuti Chamisa azosvika pakupindura. Right, so this is the post. This is the post, and let's get into it. Hanzi, Nelson Chamisa founded CCC and made himself its president, but refused to establish a constitution, elected leadership, or accountable party structures. The only other publicly recognized national officials were spokesperson Fadzai Mahere, whom he fired on the eve of the election, national organizer Amos Chibaya, and deputy spokesperson Gift Ostalo Siziva. Everything else revolved around him. He selected candidates, controlled decision-making, and resisted every call to build strong democratic institutions around the movement. He supported, defended those decisions. So maybe he was saying his supporters defended those decisions. That is why this statement is so upsetting and intellectually dishonest. You cannot deliberately centralize an entire political movement around yourself, personally control who enters its inner circles, refuse institutional safeguards, and then speak as though infiltrators mysteriously arrived through a door controlled by someone else. If CCC became a snake pit, who built the pit? If infiltrators occupied the movement, through whose leadership did they enter the rise? Okay, but you know, Hopo Chin'ono might sound like he's smart sometimes, but sometimes it's like, because I remember in myself why Chamisa ended up saying he's creating a structureless party. He did that. He said it back then, Kuti, you don't understand what it is to operate in a dictatorial space, in a dictatorship space, right? So he knows, Kuti, if you create a party and then it has got well-known structures, voted people and everything, all Mnangagwa must do is just go approach a person and position in power ya kuda kushandisa. Zvangufana pakanzi Secretary General Chabangu Pepe. And kuda kuti Mnangagwa uses money. Unongoya nemari, ungonanga pamunhu pane zvandikangobhadhara uyo ndochoparara chinhu chose ichi chinomwauka. And then they do that. People always accept money. So that's why Chamisa was hiding everything. But Chin'ono is always blaming Chamisa and not even taking into consideration the fact why Chamisa did this. So anyway, let's go and finish what Chin'ono is saying. Infiltration thrives where there are no rules, no transparent records, no elected structures, no collective decision-making, and no mechanisms for accountability. That was CCC. But anyway, because Hopo Chin'ono is busy. We understand that surely from the outside, there information to why Chamisa operated the way he did, Paga created CCC. You would think that Chamisa is a pure, serious dictator. He just decided, structures, but he was doing it because one opposition politics and how is the opposition. But takabona kubva kuna Tokozani Kupe, vana Douglas Monzora, vana Chichi vachingobhadhakwa vachibuda vachiparadza party vachibvisa kuda kutora Chichi this wing vozoita sei handidi. So you can see kuti this is the reason why zvakamira so kubva kuna MDCT ichi yakunzi yanzi MDC kuti izvonzi MDCT angatori maproblems ogawo ichimwaubwa neZANU-PF. So murezibabwe, this is the fight iri kuitika right now pakati pa Nelson Chamisa na Hopo Chin'ono. This is